The morning was calm, until she appeared. Out of nowhere, the most feared woman in our neighborhood, the self-proclaimed HOA queen, stormed straight through my caution tape like it didn't exist. She didn't knock. She didn't call. She marched onto my property, sunglasses flashing like battle armor, waving a clipboard like it was a weapon, and in front of my entire crew, she screamed that my construction was illegal, and that she would shut it all down by force. But what she didn't know was that this build had a secret. And what happened next will shock you. The morning sun was sharp enough to cut shadows into pieces, slicing across the unfinished skeleton of what would soon become my dream home addition. Every hammer strike from the crew echoed like a war drum through the crisp air, steady, powerful, certain. Sawdust danced in golden beams of light, swirling in the warm breeze like tiny flecks of future walls. The world felt perfectly in sync, and then it shattered. A voice tore through the steady rhythm like a blade through silk, shrill, furious, and loud enough to jolt a nail gun out of someone's grip. Stop. Stop right this instant. The hammers froze mid-swing. A drill whined to an awkward halt. The entire job site fell silent, as if the air itself was holding its breath. All eyes slowly turned toward the source of the eruption. And there she was, Karen, not just any neighbor, the self-appointed queen of the HOA, judge, jury, and executioner of every lawn gnome and mailbox color within 5 blocks. And now she was trespassing. No knocking, no phone call, no hesitation. She had stormed directly across my lawn like she owned the oxygen on it. Her oversized sunglasses flashed like a villain's mask under the sun. A rigid clipboard clutched in her hand like a weapon. Her lips pressed into a sharp line as she stomped across the yellow caution tape that flapped in the breeze. The tape wasn't a warning to her. It was a suggestion she was delighted to ignore. One of my workers muttered a nervous, "Ah," under his breath. Nobody moved. Even the birds seemed to stop mid-song. "Who authorized this?" she snapped, her voice slicing through the stunned silence. She planted herself between 2 startled workers, shoulders squared, chin lifted like a prosecutor about to deliver a death sentence. I watched from the porch, coffee cup frozen halfway to my lips. My crew looked at each other, eyes wide, silently asking the same question. Who is this woman, and why is she inside the construction zone? My stomach sank. I knew exactly who she was, and exactly how bad this could get. Karen was infamous. The kind of neighbor whispered about in frustrated tones. The kind who measured lawn height with a ruler. Who took photos of trash cans left out for too long and emailed the HOA board at midnight. She once tried to find another neighbor because their wind chimes were emotionally disruptive. And now here she was, standing like a human roadblock in the middle of my build, glaring at everyone as though their very existence offended her. I stepped off the porch, each footstep crunching over the gravel path like the opening beats of a showdown. Inside, adrenaline spiked. This wasn't just an inconvenience, this was a potential disaster. If she stirred up enough chaos, she could spook the crew, halt the project, and maybe even weaponize HOA bylaws against me. That was her specialty, turning paperwork into a battlefield. Karen turned her glare on me like a searchlight. "This is a violation of community standards," she barked, gesturing wildly toward the construction beams as though they were radioactive. Noise, dust, chaos. "This is not acceptable." A breeze whipped through the half-framed walls, rattling loose tarps like distant thunder. My crew stayed frozen, eyes darting between me and her, waiting for a cue. Karen's heels sank slightly in the soil, but she didn't notice. Her presence radiated tension, like a storm cloud building pressure before the first lightning bolt strikes. I walked closer, slow and steady, refusing to break eye contact. The part of me that wanted to laugh stayed buried, because another part knew exactly what she was capable of. Karen's power didn't come from authority. It came from sheer volume, from the chaos she could unleash with a single phone call or one dramatic email to the HOA board marked urgent. As I reached the edge of the worksite, I saw her nostrils flare with triumph, as if she'd just cornered her prey. She didn't know it yet, but she wasn't the predator here, and she had just stepped into the one place where her rules held no power. My property. Karen didn't just speak, she performed. She launched into a monologue so dramatic it could have come with a gavel and theme music. "You're violating community standards," she proclaimed, voice trembling with theatrical outrage. "There's noise, dust, and Offensive lumber. She jabbed her clipboard toward a stack of planks as though they had personally insulted her. The crew froze. One guy's mouth twitched, trying not to laugh. Luis, my foreman, whispered, "Offensive lumber. Is that a thing?" Under his breath, Karen didn't hear him. She was too busy building her case out of thin air. "This entire operation is disrupting the harmony of the neighborhood." "Harmony!" she repeated, eyes wide, like she'd just uncovered a secret conspiracy. "I will file a formal disruption claim immediately," I blinked. "A what? That wasn't even real HOA terminology." She had just invented it, and said it with the confidence of someone quoting the Constitution. Luis leaned toward me, voice barely audible. "Do we stop?" "No," I said, sharp and steady. "Keep going." He nodded and signaled the crew back to work. The hammers resumed their steady pounding. Karen's head snapped toward the noise like an owl spotting prey. Her face flushed crimson, the color climbing up her neck in furious blotches. "Excuse me?" she hissed. "Did you just ignore an official directive from the board?" "I am on the board of this community." I smiled, calm as stone. "No," I said evenly. "You were on the board. You got voted out last month, remember?" It was like watching a glass crack in slow motion. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Her sunglasses couldn't hide the flicker of panic in her eyes. Karen wasn't used to being challenged. People usually avoided her wrath, ducking behind hedges or pretending to be on phone calls, but not today. She snapped back to life, stomping her heel into the dirt like a judge's gavel. "If you continue, I'll have you fined. I'll call the county inspector myself." "Perfect," I said calmly, almost smiling. "They're already scheduled." I let the silence hang, then added, "In fact, you might want to stick around." Karen's eyebrows arched sharply above her sunglasses. For the first time since she stormed in, she hesitated, and that hesitation was the first crack in her armor. Karen folded her arms, staying put like a stubborn lawn ornament. She didn't notice the white county SUV roll up to the curb a few minutes later. Out stepped a city official in a hard hat, clipboard in hand. "Morning," he said to me. "We're here to verify foundation alignment before proceeding." Karen pounced. "Yes, and I want you to stop this entire illegal project immediately." The inspector glanced at her, then at me. "Is she authorized to be on your property?" "Nope," I said. "Then she needs to leave," he replied curtly. "This is a legal build. Actually, it's part of the new subdivision realignment." Karen blinked, her confidence crumbling. "Subdivision realignment?" The inspector nodded. "Yes, the property line shifted. This lot," he pointed at my yard, "now includes what used to be her driveway easement. The structure we're building will border her unit." Karen's jaw dropped. "That's impossible." "Not at all," the inspector said, flipping through papers. "Your lease was under review. It's being revoked for non-compliance with HOA terms. This structure," he pointed to the skeletal framing, "is part of the new complex that will replace your unit. You'll receive an official eviction notice this afternoon." Karen's shriek could have shattered glass. "You can't evict me." "You evicted yourself," the inspector replied flatly. "Multiple code violations, unpaid dues, and unauthorized alterations to your property line. This has been in process for months." As if on cue, a courier pulled up, handing her a thick envelope. The heading was bold, "Notice of Eviction." The construction crew stood frozen, hammers in midair. Karen trembled, her face drained of color. She ripped the envelope open, scanned the first page, then hurled it to the ground. Without another word, she spun on her heel and stormed off across the lawn she no longer legally owned. The inspector turned to me, expression neutral. "Carry on," Luis muttered. "Did we just build her eviction notice?" "Pretty much," I said, picking up my coffee. As the hammers resumed their rhythm, I watched Karen's figure retreat down the street. For years she'd tried to control everyone else's homes. Now her own had been erased, one nail at a time. And just like that, the woman who tried to shut down my dream build walked straight into her own downfall. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more unbelievable stories like these.